Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. Another Manic Monday coming at you after the weekend. And we were all there at the ball games over the weekend involving the 3 Division I FBS teams here in our state. I was at the Clemson and Troy game. Matt Smith was at the South Carolina State game. Chris Bergen was at the Coastal Carolina game against Charleston Southern. So you got 3 guys here together. Smith will be dropping off in a little bit, but you got the 3 of us here together. All of us at games. All of us, well, 2 of us held up by the weather. 1 of us got through the weather without too much of an issue. Needless to say, it was a very interesting Saturday for each of the home teams. I don't think any of the 3 home teams, they all won. I don't think any of them have reason to feel good. Other than the fact that they won, they have no reason to feel good about how they won. So we're going to talk all about that tonight. Your phone calls are certainly welcomed at 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. And, of course, you can send us a text message as well. Our text message line is 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. And a quick shout-out to Presbyterian. How about the Blue Hose? Their win at Furman in overtime. I mean, their 2-0 start's got to be one of the shocking stories anywhere in the country at any level. The fact that they went on the road and beat Mercer, and Mercer was a top 15 team in FCS. When they beat them, they go up to Furman. Furman was coming off a very nice win over William and Mary, and they go and beat Furman. And so they're 2-0 against the Southern Conference. They can call themselves Southern Conference champions. They might not win the Pioneer League, but they can win the SoCon. And they did get enough votes today to be 27th in the overall ranking. So tip of the cap to the Blue Hose. I recall visiting there in August and talking to the coach and players and feeling like this team had a chance to be pretty doggone good. And they've gone out and proven it, Chris Bergen. Welcome in to Matt Smith, who's joining us from our coastal studios. We have Bergie from our studios in the PD over in Sardis. Again, the phone number, 888-898-2525. Plenty of time for your phone calls. We get to those early and often, and your text messages as well. And Zach Willis coming on board at 7:35 to try to make it all make sense. So as we go around the diamond here, so to speak, I'll talk about Clemson here to get things rolling and just say that once again, the Tigers stunk it up. I mean, Dabo Swinney said after the LSU game, and he said it at his press conference, say we stunk, throw mud on us, say you stunk. All right, you stunk again. I mean, you really did. I mean, yeah, you saved yourself in the second half, but my gosh, it was so bad. The fans, Clemson fans, the ever-forgiving, ever-loving Clemson fans who never see anything wrong with their team, not only were they were booing lustily after that pick six, and there were some calling for a change at quarterback. Take him out. I heard a few of them say, take him out. I mean, they were frustrated. They were fed up. They were shocked by what they were seeing from their team. They were down 16-0 to Troy. Okay? Not the Trojans of Southern Cal, not even the Trojans of Northwestern, the Trojans of Troy. And finally, late in the half, the Tigers got on the board with a field goal. Then, of course, as we know, they dominated the second half. And they played much better in the second half compared to the first half. Still didn't play great. I mean, I know they scored on like four consecutive possessions. For some reason, Troy maybe attempted the worst fake field goal attempt I've ever seen. I don't know if you've seen it on tape, but for some reason they had the holder down on a knee like he's going to take the snap, and the place kicker facing the sideline like a statue, like he was just frozen, like he's looking at the sideline, like looking for a signal or something. And then they snapped the ball to the holder, and then Clemson just swarmed him. He had no chance. And you know what? It was a makeable field goal. It would have kept them. I think it would have continued. It either would have made it a 1-point game or increased their lead. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, very dumb call at that point, and that aided Clemson on their second half run to their victory. So Tigers are 1-1. Nothing to really feel proud about with that win on Saturday. Their offensive line's a little bit banged up. Had several different looks on the offensive line. Their secondary, their safeties are still a little bit of a question mark back there with injuries as well. I didn't see all that much from the defensive front. I didn't see really much from anything from Clemson on Saturday. They might go to Georgia Tech and get run out of Grant Field, Hyundai Field, whatever they're calling it now. They have a big Hyundai logo on the field, whatever they call it. So they need to get their act together. All right, they need to get their act together. And Smitty, you were at South Carolina. You had the rain delay as well, and they need to get their act together as well. I mean, yeah, they beat Florida State, and it looked one-sided, but it wasn't one-sided the entire way. I mean, South Carolina State gave them a nice battle there until they finally just, I guess, sort of wore out, and South Carolina took over with their depth and puts a, well, I mean, what'd they have? 3 non-offensive touchdowns in the game?
They did. And, you know, you said there's nothing to write home about in any of the cases. And look, I'm not going to put shine on this. I'm going to criticize. I'm going to be just as critical of South Carolina as you just were of Clemson. And I'll throw some mud Coastal Carolina's way too. You have to score more than that against Charleston Southern. But I will say this. I think we also want to give credit where credit is due. Your physical doppelganger, the late great Meatloaf, used to say, he sang.
I'm not sure I take that as a compliment or not. Wait a minute. Let me think about that for a second.
All right. That's a Hall of Famer.
As I recall, he was kind of a pudgy fellow, wasn't he?
No. He carried it well.
Okay.
Two out of 3 ain't bad. And what you can say about South Carolina is through the first 2 weeks, their special teams are under Joe DeCamillis. They're scary. They are hold your breath good. Special team Beamer ball is back now after taking a little time away at South Carolina. So that's a positive because that's something now that teams are going to have to spend time on. Defensively, that defense through 2 weeks has been ferocious. It's the reason almost anything good that has happened at South Carolina has been special teams and defense. And the offense has made some big plays, but those have been because the defense and special teams has put them in such good positions, flip the field or change the score. And when you change the score, you change the script of the game, forcing other teams to play from behind, and then South Carolina can take shots. So now, here comes the mud that we can sling. South Carolina wasn't just 3 and out. They were 9 and out on their first 3 possessions against South Carolina State. That offense has been consistently inconsistent through 2 games. So at first you could say, well, they didn't know what they would see from Virginia Tech. But now, after Virginia Tech got outclassed by Vanderbilt in the second half, you can say, okay, something's wrong with this offensive line at South Carolina because now after playing an ACC team that's 0-2 and an FCS program, South Carolina's ranked 11th in the country, and it has nothing to do with what their offense has done through 8 quarters. So it's been really, really bad, and I think the only thing I can put my finger on, and maybe you, Phil, you could shed some light on this, it looks to me like the clay is there for this offensive line to be okay. It looks like physically, from a physical standpoint, when they take the field, they should have pushed South Carolina State around. They look confused. They look confused all the time. And Lenore Sellers has been pedestrian, 12 of 19, 128 yards. We know his numbers were pedestrian against Virginia Tech, and only aided by that big play to Nick Harbor. He's running for his life almost immediately. Other teams aren't buying what South Carolina's offense is showing them. In other words, whatever they're showing, it looks like the other team is in the huddle. And look, we're looking at Coach Shula, the new offensive coordinator. He's got a good resume. I assume he's going to get those things fixed. But something's going on with the offensive line through 2 weeks. They have not been good. And let me just share, just to put a fine point on it, just share some statistics with you. Here are the 3 rushing plays of more than 10 yards for South Carolina against FCS South Carolina State. Nick Harbor rushed for 12 yards in the second quarter. That was an end around. Second quarter, early second quarter, Lenora Sellers rushes right for 11 yards. That was a scramble. Third quarter, early third quarter, Lenora Sellers rushes for 16 yards. That's the extent of South Carolina's running plays of more than 10 yards through the whole game against South Carolina State. And I bet if we pulled the sheet up against Virginia Tech, it would look pretty similar. And most of South Carolina's run plays with Faison and Attaway have been for 3 yards or less this season. So there you have it. I want to make sure I give credit because Vakari Swain, 3 punt return touchdowns in 2 games. That ties the season record for South Carolina right away. He has 10 games to break it. That's been amazing. Joe DeCamillo's has done a tremendous job. And let's not forget Maurice Brown got a hand on one of those punts. So it was kind of like having a block punt and 2 punt return touchdowns in the same game. They had a 49-yard field goal made from William Joyce. So A-pluses on special teams. The defense, only 1 touchdown surrendered in 2 games. A-plus. I'll leave it up to you to give a grade on the Gamecocks offense, but I can't give them any better than a C through 2 weeks.
Yeah, they have not been impressive in their now, 3 games with Mike Shula running things and calling the plays, Bergie. They have just not been impressive. Speaking of not being impressive, offensively, Coastal Carolina.
Oh, boy.
Only 13 points against Charleston Southern. I mean, you had almost 400 yards, but those ugly turnovers keep getting in the way.
No doubt. I want to circle back 2 things first before we get into Coastal. First off, Smitty is the clubhouse leader for best headline at SportsTalkSC.com thus far this year. The blame it on the Swain. I hope everybody understood that reference. It may be over a lot of folks' heads, but Smitty, I thought that was outstanding. Secondly, back to PC. First off, the team in Mercer that they beat to open the season, that's the same team that beat them by 53 points last year. And secondly, they've won now 6 in a row, Phil, non-scholarship. I think Steve Englehart is doing a great job, and right now is probably the clubhouse leader for Coach of the Year in our state because of the job he is having to do at PC. But now to Coastal. And Coastal, unlike South Carolina and unlike Clemson, does not have a quarterback that they can lean on heavily like the Gamecocks did when they try and get Lenora Sellers going, and certainly like Clemson did in the second half when Cade Klubnik finally decided to show up. They have got a quarterback issue. It's bottom line right now. MJ Morris is just unfortunately not getting it done for them. Through 3 interceptions this past weekend, all of them inside the red zone. So you take what probably should have been, if you don't turn it over, and at worst, maybe get 2 touchdowns and a field goal. You're talking about a 30-point blowout, and everybody's feeling pretty good about things. But he has struggled. Tad Hudson, the backup, came in. Hudson's only real significant playing time at Coastal was last year during the bowl game when he was out there with me and Smitty and a lot of other people, because the majority of the team had already left to jump in the transfer portal, and did a reasonable job last year trying to guide them against UTSA at a game that got woefully out of hand. So he comes in and leads them on a touchdown drive and a field goal drive in the fourth quarter. So, Tim Beck was asked this morning during the Sun Belt teleconference, is he ready to make a change in quarterback? And he said, no, I haven't made that. Not that he won't, but he said at this point in time, they just had a light practice this morning, and so he's going to play it out. And it looks like probably go to Saturday. But, just watching the first 2 ball games, Phil, when you got MJ Morris, who was 13 of 22 for 102 yards and 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. And then you have Tad Hudson come in. He only had to throw it 5 times because Charleston Southern offensively, it was about as anemic as any team I've ever seen. I don't know, unfortunately, what Gabe Gardenia and Seth Strickland you would think would come up with a much better offensive game plan, but they just may not have the players. So they're just not very good, period, across the board. Charleston Southern, this is a team that's now lost 12 in a row, and you start to wonder when that losing streak is going to come to an end. Hopefully for them, it comes to an end this weekend when they host Lindenwood to open up OVC Big South play. But back to Coastal's quarterback position. I mean, Tad came in, was 3 of 5 for 37 yards, but he also rushed for the game's only touchdown. And you just feel like that momentum in the fourth quarter for him and a couple of scoring drives probably is going to put him in a position where he's the starter on Saturday. And they've got to get better offensively. They can't turn it over. They turned it over way too much against UVA. Probably were going to lose that game anyway, but you certainly gave yourself no chance to beat the Cavaliers on the road with as many turnovers as they had. And the reason Charleston Southern was in the game on Saturday is because of 3 turnovers inside the red zone. Mm-hmm. And now you face an East Carolina team that is scoring points in bunches and had every opportunity to beat NC State 2 weeks ago and just came off a game in which they almost scored 60 points against Campbell at home. So they'll be ready to play on Saturday, and if Coastal doesn't get their act together, especially offensively, it could be a long, long evening at Brooks Stadium. Defense has played awfully well the first 2 games, but they've got major issues, much like Clemson and South Carolina do. It was funny, we were sitting here watching the scores come in and thinking, good grief, what is going on in our state? Nobody can score offensively, and Coastal certainly fell into that category, led 3-0 going to the fourth quarter over Charleston Southern, finally got the touchdown in the field goal.
All right, so the good thing is they all got W's. The bad thing is none of them really played well. None of them played up to expectations. None of them played up to potential. And now, they're gonna play up in competition. I mean, Clemson's going to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech got a big offense, and South Carolina's hosting Vanderbilt, which had a great comeback at Virginia Tech. That's a tough thing to do. That's tough to come back on Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. They dominated the second half and did that. And you've got East Carolina coming to town. So some tall tasks ahead for the 3. They better get it together, or we'll be talking about losses next week. Back in a moment.
This is Major Billy Downer with the Department of Natural Resources, and I've got a message for all of our hunters out there. When you go afield, always make sure to positively identify your target. Know the identifying features of the game you're hunting, and know what's beyond your target in case you miss. If you want more information on hunter education, visit dnr.sc.gov or join us on Wednesday nights for SC Wild.
You can listen to SC Wild on the Sports Talk Media Network or at dnr.sc.gov/podcasts.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at experiencecolumbiasc.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
right, well, at least we're talking about wins. Let's bring in the loser of the foursome. Plumber, how about them?
Loser.
How about them Gator Lions? How about, I think we had a bet. I think the bet was that if you lost, that you would work for life for free for Sports Talk. So congratulations.
So is this the end of my
You're working
career?
for free for the rest of your life. We appreciate that.
End of my career with Sports Talk, I guess.
To the end of your career.
No, I guess, if I'm paying, yeah.
No, you're working for free.
No, I don't work for free.
No, you're working for free.
He's opting out, Phil, is what he's doing.
I'm opting out of
He's opting out of Sports Talk.
Right.
So how's it feel to go 0-2?
Of
what happens when you play somebody that, is not the Hamptons or Long Island or something? You actually played a football team. Talking about the Gators.
Huh.
Yeah. You might be the fourth team in your state now. I mean,
we
Miami's
can go back
better.
in the archives of
Florida
Sports Talk
State's
and
better.
the Sports Talk
USF
archives
is better.
Pretty sure I said last year, let's fire Billy. So I think we know my answer.
So you ready to fire the Lions coach?
I didn't say that.
Got domoed yesterday.
I didn't say that.
Got beat by a superior team in a superior stadium.
I would let Dan.
Superior coach.
I would let Dan Campbell adopt me. I'm over 18, but if I was still a minor, I would.
I think your family would probably vote for that.
Yeah, I think they'd be fine with it.
Yeah, All right, so you're the loser. You lost both games.
I'm not a
this
loser.
week. You're a loser.
I'm fine with what happened. Every team needs a loss. Your team's lost a lot last year. And you had a very depressing season, and you showed it in your performance on the show, and everybody knew.
Don't try and come back at me with insults on top of my insults.
Anytime, if you're listening on an affiliate, and then he went over a couple seconds, the last couple seconds got cut off,
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Got to get Ben Johnson back.
Fair. They need somebody. That offense got domoed.
Get Ben Johnson back to run that offense.
I tell you, the Packers' offensive line, the Packers' offensive line yesterday just looked like $1 million.
Yeah, no. Well, in all seriousness, our line on both offensive and defensive for the Lions just no good.
How about the game last night, though, before we move on?
Oh, that was awesome.
Between Buffalo and Baltimore.
What a great way to end the first Sunday of the NFL. That's why we love the NFL. I mean, that game was incredible. So Vanderbilt scored 34 points in the second half against Virginia Tech in front of about 66,000 fans. What a comeback. They were down 20-10 at halftime. They win 44-20. They're an older team. Their quarterback, Pavia, he rushed for 61 yards. He threw for 193, 2 touchdowns. He was not sacked. They got maybe one of the best tight ends in the country in Eli Stowers. Didn't have a huge game. He had 4 catches for 29 yards. But this is not a Vanderbilt team that you're going to, in the beginning of the season where you mark that down as a win. Not so the case now that it's here. They rushed for 262 and they passed for 228. That's 490 total yards. So, South Carolina better find something offensively. Their defense will be tested, by this Vanderbilt offense. There's no question about it. And then Georgia Tech puts 59 on the board against Gardner Webb with a backup quarterback. They rested their primary guy. They still threw for 457 yards and rushed for 223. So they had 680 yards. That's how you beat a Gardner Webb. You put 680 yards on them. Yeah. You don't dilly-dally around. Even though I think Gardner Webb scored the first points of the game. I think they led early 6-0, but then I think from there it was Georgia Tech running off 59 straight points. Their quarterback was Aaron Philo, or is that Philo? I think it's Philo. Aaron Philo, 21 of 28 for 373, a touchdown. He had 1 interception. And their leading rusher was Hasley, who had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Haynes had 2 touchdowns on 92 yards. So this is going to be a great test. They only had 37,775. Way to get behind your Yellow Jackets there, Yellow Jacket fans. 37,775 for a team that looks like a potential ACC competitor. All right, we'll hit your phones coming up after the break. 888-898-2525. Thank you, Smitty. Appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Matt.
Talk to you next week. Smitty will be covering the South Carolina Vandy game. I'll be in Atlanta for Clemson, Georgia Tech. You want to jump on board? 888-898-2525, the number.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 61. Tomorrow, nice blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high of 80. It's comfortable on Wednesday. 82 is our high. Mostly sunshine-filled skies. And we're warmer the second half of the week with highs in the middle to upper 80s. There's no rain scheduled all week, so leave that umbrella at home. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, it's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We're introducing our new healthy gluten-free menu. For your choices, we offer charbroiled certified Angus ribeye steak, juicy marinated grilled chicken dinner, fresh grilled salmon, authentic Greek salad, hamburger steak with grilled onions and melted cheese, shish kebab with grilled chicken, veggie blue plate with a choice of 4 vegetable selections, spring chicken salad, and of course, our famous slow-roasted pot roast. Come and enjoy a healthy gluten-free menu at Flight Deck Restaurant. We at Flight Deck Restaurant, thank you, and God bless.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Palestinian attackers have opened fire at a bus stop in Jerusalem during the morning rush hour, killing 6 people and wounding 12. An Israeli soldier and civilian shot and killed the 2 attackers, and police later arrested a 3rd person. Monday's attack at a major intersection is the deadliest in Israel since October 2024. The Supreme Court is clearing the way for federal agents to conduct sweeping immigration operations in Los Angeles, another victory for President Trump at the High Court. The justices Monday lifted a restraining order from a judge who found patrols were conducting indiscriminate arrests in Los Angeles. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 114 points, the Nasdaq rose 98, the S&P advanced 13. More details at srnnews.com.
Lots of plumbing companies out there. Few are truly local. Time to discover the difference with Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, when I faced plumbing woes at the Cohen home, Josh and his dedicated team, well, they were my go-to solution. They make a commitment to exceptional service. They arrived on time, clearly detailed all the costs and procedures, and efficiently handled all my repairs without any surprises. These days, how often do we complain about a lack of customer service out there? With Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, these folks are professional. They're courteous. They're skilled at what they do, and they've earned my trust, and they've earned my recommendation to you. From urgent repairs to the tankless water heater you've always wanted, they've got you covered. Visit franklinplumbing.sc.com or call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. Hey, you tell them Kev sent you from The Point. I'm pretty sure you'll want to thank me later.
If you've never had genuine Wagyu or Hereford steaks and burgers, you don't know what you're missing. Time to order the best of the best from HandJCattle.com. These are local farmers in Saluda where tradition meets quality. The best quality beef and a discount for Point listeners. Enter keyword The Point as one word and get 10% off, plus free delivery in Lexington and Richland County orders of $50 or more. It's cooked in season over at HandJCattle.com. This fall, discover a place where friendly faces greet you at the door. McCoy's Hardware of Lexington. Greg Lynette and their welcoming team make every visit a breeze with expert advice and genuine hometown care. No more endless aisles or big box blues. Just quality products and people who want to know your name. For every project, big or small, find what you need and a neighborly smile at 2028 Augusta Highway. Shop local. Shop happy. McCoy's Hardware of Lexington.
You work hard for your money. Shouldn't your money work hard for you too? Think about all the hours you've put in, the late nights, the early mornings, the dedication to your craft. Now imagine those dollars doing some of the heavy lifting for a change, growing quietly in the background while you focus on what matters most. Whether you're saving for a dream vacation, a new home, or just building a cushion for peace of mind, putting your money to work is one of the smartest moves you can make. Open a certificate at Founders Federal Credit Union and earn more with your savings. For a limited time only, Founders is offering 18-month certificates at 4.3% 4.32% annual percentage yield and 18-month IRA certificates at 4.58% annual percentage yield. To get started, visit foundersfcu.com/dividend rates or one of our many convenient office locations. All you need is $500 to get started, but don't delay. These rates won't last. Open your certificate today. Your future self will thank you for opening a certificate at Founders. Federally insured by the NCUA. Membership qualification required. $500 minimum balance. 18-month term. Dividends compound quarterly. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
You're supposed to stay neutral, but your stripes show it's indisputable. Tiger fell, can't sit still. Orange and purple running through his will. Calls it fair, but we know the drill. Tiger Phil, oh Tiger Phil.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk Media Network on this Monday night, this Manic Monday. Phone number 888-898-2525. Lines have been cleared. They're opened up and waiting for you. Phone number 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number by which you can reach us here on Sports Talk. You can also send us a text. Boy, we got a ton of text messages to get through. And so we'll dive into those. And the text number is 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. That's brought to you by Larry Lucas Insurance, also the sponsor of our poll question of the week. Don't forget Larry Lucas Insurance. Call Larry at 803-799-1998 for all of your insurance needs. And don't forget they have a brand new office for those of you over in the Sunset Drive area of Lexington, 5370 Sunset Drive, right behind the Mellow Mushroom, a place that the plumber knows well. Mellow Mushroom. Yeah, Mellow Mushroom. You're a regular Mellow Mushroom.
What's that?
Visitor.
What's a Mellow Mushroom?
Okay, look it up. Do an AI.
The only place I eat is Sewell's and the Russell House at the University of South Carolina.
Two good places.
Yeah.
Poll question of the week. South Carolina has won 16 straight over Vandy, 6.5-point favorite this week. Based on the first two games, what's your confidence level for 17 in a row? 50% say confident but worried. 28.6% say mark it down. 21.4% say the streak ends on Saturday. That's a pretty heavy number, Bergie. Over 21% of the vote so far think the Gamecocks will lose to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, because, during their heyday, certainly the last decade and a half, this has been a game you've already circled, checked off the list, and moved on. You weren't worried about Vanderbilt, but I think Diego Pavia and some of the things that Clark Lee has done with that program has totally resurrected them and changed them, and they've got a very boisterous leader of that team. And Diego Pavia is not afraid to come out and say, look, we're a good football team. We're the best team in Tennessee. Whether he actually believes that or not, or anybody else does, he's not afraid to say that. So they're going to come in with some swagger on Saturday, and South Carolina better find a way to match it offensively. And the way you handle a team like this is the way they should have handled South Carolina State. You've got to get that offense in gear, and you've got to score early. If you let Vanderbilt hang around going into the fourth quarter, they are good enough that they'll win that football game. This is not a situation where if you leave South Carolina State hanging in there that they may find a way to upset you. No, Vanderbilt will win that game if South Carolina doesn't find a way to get things going offensively.
Gamecocks were outgained by State, 270 to 253. They threw for 128. They ran for 125. They were penalized 7 times. They were 3 of 12 on third down. They were 2 of 2 on fourth down. So, and of course, they lost some possessions because they had 3 non-offensive touchdowns. So those opportunities for the offense to go out and drive the football and do all that, that wasn't there. You don't take those points off the board. You'll take those 21 points any way you can get them. Vicari Swain, the SEC co-specialist of the week, again, has just been sensational. So I guess.
How is he the co? That's what I have to ask.
I don't know. Here's my question, Bergie. So the second touchdown he scored was off of a blocked punt, right? The second touchdown he scored was off of a blocked punt. Yet it's being credited as a punt return for a touchdown. So, I mean, I don't know. That surprised me that it was statistically registered as a punt return, giving him 2 punt returns for touchdowns. I guess if you recover a block punt, and you return that, it's considered a punt return instead of a recovery of a blocked kick.
Well, that's the thing.
Return.
I don't know how statistically you would – it's not a fumble return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm guessing statistically that's the only way they could actually phrase it. If even as intelligent as the stat programs are, I'm not sure they have a situation where you have a block and then a fumble return for a touchdown at the same time. So that seems to make sense. Now, yeah, I mean, we're splitting hairs here, but, yeah, I guess that's how they have to statistically put it down as a punt return for a touchdown, even though it was off a block.
So in the Gamecocks' 2 games so far, and, again, they lost some possessions this time because of the 2 returns for scores and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. So that's 3 touchdowns. So you go back to the Virginia Tech game, and they had 1 drive in that game. Really, they had 1 drive. They had the opening possession, 75 yards, zip, 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 touchdown. Outside of that, offensively, they didn't move the ball at all. They had a 64-yard touchdown pass. That wasn't a long drive. That was a couple of plays, and then bang, hit the big ball. Otherwise, they had no offensive drives to speak of. Here in Game 2 against South Carolina State, well, pretty much more of the same. They had a drive of 11 plays, 53 yards that ended in a field goal attempt. They had a drive of 9 plays and 44 yards that went for a field goal. They had a touchdown drive of 8 plays and 65 yards. Then a touchdown drive of 5 plays and 52 yards. So driving the football and sticking it in the end zone in 2 games is not something they've done a real good job of. And you would have expected, of course, much more of that against South Carolina State, and you would have expected more of that against Virginia Tech, considering the offensive personnel. Right now, Cade Klubnik and Lenore Sellers in their respective leagues, the ACC and the SEC, they are each 15th in quarterback ratings in their respective leagues. Yeah. Not what was expected in their respective leagues, not what was expected going into the season. So, and there's maybe a lot of reasons to that, but they're not playing at a high level right now. And that offensive line at South Carolina certainly was not playing at a high level against South Carolina State. Clemson's offensive line against Troy in the first half, they did very little. You know, Adam Randall had only he finished with 112 yards. I think he had like 91 in the second half. First half, there was nowhere to go. Klubnik was under pressure, and again, they had some drops, just not playing well as an offensive unit on both sides. So we'll see what happens this week. Maybe getting into conference play for the 2 of them is going to do them some good. Some other notes of the day, and our phone number, 888-898-2525. Compilation of notes here in no particular order. So Coastal Carolina had 27,000 hot dogs that they gave away. Of course, concessions are free at Coastal. Mm-hmm. So they had 27,000 hot dogs eaten. And y'all had 22,000 plus attendance?
That's what they reported, yeah. 22,217, a brand new record at Brooks Stadium.
Pretty awesome. By the way, we'll have recruiting coming up, as you probably are aware. Caden Ramsey of Cross did commit to South Carolina this afternoon. More on that coming up in recruiting. Also, got to keep an eye on Landon Duckworth, who visited LSU and got offered by LSU over the weekend. Can never stop recruiting, even your committed guys. Southern Conference.
He wouldn't decommit twice from the Gamecocks, would he?
He certainly could.
I mean, they could. I mean, when we talked to his coach back during the summertime, he seemed pretty confident and positive that Duckworth was going to be a Gamecock. Mm-hmm. I just find this news, I saw that you had tweeted it out over the weekend. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, anytime somebody visits for a game somewhere else, there's got to be reason for concern. I mean, if he totally was shut down, not interested, he wouldn't be visiting somewhere else.
I agree.
Then again, so South Carolina and Clemson are having guys come in for visits who are committed somewhere else. So you play the game, you win the game, you lose the game. As far as recruiting goes, you play that game, you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. Southern Conference Players of the Week on offense, Citadel receiver Javonte Graves Billups. How about Citadel going in there and spanking Samford on the road? Defense, Wofford defensive back C.J. Coombs. Special teams, Citadel defensive back Bradley Jones. South Carolina and Missouri will kick off at either 7 or 7:30 on either ABC or ESPN. That's a week from Saturday. The Syracuse-Clemson game will have a definite noon kick on either ABC or ESPN. Former Gamecock safety Israel Mukwamu signed by the Panthers to their practice squad. Hey, nice to see the Panthers. They weren't fooling in the preseason. They were bad in the preseason, and they were bad yesterday. So congratulations. You are what you are.
They're just so bad. And just watching them play yesterday, I mean, it's just miserable watching them on offense and then turn around. They couldn't do anything defensively, and that was one area that they were actually fairly decent, a couple of years back. But good grief. I mean, they're just a complete mess on both sides of the football. And, you look at them and you look at certain teams around the NFL and college football and you say, all right, they've got the talent. They're going to turn it around. They just had a bad day. No, I'm not sure the Panthers have the talent to turn it around.
Clemson now 20-1 to win the CFP championship per Bet Online. South Carolina 75-1. Lenore Sellers is 14-1 to win the Heisman, and Cade Klubnik is 18-1. Bakari Swain, the SEC co-specialist of the week for the second straight week. Brett McMurphy has dropped Clemson from his CFP projection, now has the Tigers in the Pop-Tarts Bowl against Texas Tech. And he's loving South Carolina in the Liberty. This is the third straight projection. He's got a different opponent. He's got him against BYU this time. He still has the Gamecocks stuck in the Liberty Bowl at the end of the season. NCAA stats this week. Clemson, total offense, they're number 117. Scoring, they're 108. Total defense, they're 79. Scoring defense, they're 56. They're fifth in turnovers gained and sixth in pass interceptions. South Carolina's 98 in total offense, 89 in scoring, 78 in total defense, 30 in scoring. Fourth in yards per completion, sixth in punt returns, seventh in red zone defense, ninth in net punting, and Bakari Swain is number 6 nationally in punt returns. Would have thought he'd been higher than that, but that is what it is. And let's see what else here. That is it for the notes for now. So we'll hit the break and we'll come back to some text messages and phone calls if you want to join us. Number is 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us right here on Sports Talk. That text line number is 900. Make that 803-900. 803-900-4847. We'll continue on Sports Talk after the break. Don't go away.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
When South Carolina's best high school football players take the field at the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, they're backed by a powerful team of their own. As proud title sponsors, your local co-ops celebrate more than just a game. It's a tradition where talent shines, where teamwork matters, and where community spirit takes center stage. Don't miss the 78th Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, December 13th at Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium in Myrtle Beach, powered by your electric cooperative.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. It's live weight. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool. 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble Course 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
And I didn't stop there, I swear. From the time I wake up to the time I lay down, it's the devil's playground everywhere that I look. Swear it's there in my blood, I was born to be lost. Lot of lines that I crossed, little more than I should. I'm losing me too.
Okay, we're back on Sports Talk on this Manic Monday. 888-898-2525 is the phone number. Some text messages here. Justin says, "Go Pack Go. Great win to start the 2025 season." I would concur. Very impressed with the Packers yesterday. Now they got a short week. Got the Commanders coming to Green Bay. You realize that was the first season-opening home game for Green Bay since 2018.
Wow.
So, yeah, the NFL, they always like to take the power franchises and abuse them by sending them. It was, last year. It was last year. I think I messed this up when we were talking about it last week. It was last year that the Packers had to play in Brazil, and Jordan Love got hurt in that game. When I think I confused that with Aaron Rodgers, who got hurt. I think it was the previous season when they played in London. He got hurt. So they need to stay off of foreign soil and stay on the frozen tundra.
So every time Clemson has a home game to open up the season, so will the Packers. Because that was about the last time Clemson had a home game to open the year, too.
If you're a Packer fan, you're happy anytime they get to play in Lambeau. This is from Larry. Why do you refer to Carolina? Why do you refer to Carolina as South Carolina? Todd and Tommy are the only media that gets this right. You're talking to fans who always refer to the Gamecocks as Carolina. Even Clemson, I had to look at that closely, spelled it with a K. Even Clemson fans call us Carolina. I look forward to hearing the change. Love your show. I've been listening for decades. Well, thank you, Larry. There'll be no change. I refer to South Carolina as South Carolina and USC for the most part. Carolina's more of a fan reference. I think from my standpoint, when I refer to South Carolina, it's either South Carolina or USC or the Gamecocks. I think that's fair across the board. Certainly I refer to Southern Cal as Southern Cal. I do not call them USC. There's only one USC in my eyes. Well, they can be a second USC, but that would be, the younger brothers out west. South Carolina is the older brother, thus should retain the first reference of USC. Should be for South Carolina. I don't care what the rest of the world thinks. In my world, it's USC for the Gamecocks. That's how I've always been, how we will always be. I don't call them Carolina a whole lot. You call them Carolina very much, Bergie?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh. Well, you good. Okay, you do that.
That's pretty much what I reference them as. Yeah.
You do? You really? You call them Carolina? Sometimes I call them Carolina, but not very often. I'm mostly South Carolina and USC.
To me, Carolina is UNC.
Well, that's why you're a loser.
Okay. All right. Well.
And don't break in on the conversation unless you're brought into the conversation. This is not a three-man host. We have two hosts and a producer. Last time I checked the roster. You have a quarterback and you have guards and tackles. There's one quarterback. Okay, so we have one quarterback, and then we have whatever you happen to be. And then we have
the other guys.
And then we have,
as Coach Beamer
then
calls
we have
us.
Bergie, who's the running back. Okay, at best you're a left tackle. Okay.
Without the linemen, you guys all lose. So.
Speaking of two guys, I found this fascinating. Phil, I don't know that I have ever seen this since college football has gone to the helmet communication. Charleston Southern got penalized for an equipment violation because they had two defenders on the field Saturday night, both with the helmet sticker.
How about that?
For the helmet communication.
Yeah. Odd.
I don't know that I've ever seen that in a game before.
Tell you one thing I like, going back to the Packers game for a moment along those lines. No, several of the Packers receivers were wearing the cushion on top of the helmet.
The Guardian cap.
Yeah, which I think they should all wear them, but especially receivers. But I think they should all wear them. Anything that helps protect the skull and prevents concussions, why wouldn't you wear them? And I wish they would, take a look at their pants. Again, the college players and the pro players are wearing these pants above the knees, and I don't get it. They must feel like they're safe in those kind of outfits, but I don't get it. I'd be wearing those knee pads and everything else to protect myself. And I appreciate the fact these folks are willing to sacrifice their bodies, but if we want to keep the game and keep it as safe as possible, I mean, NASCAR fans, how thankful are you that they have the Hans device now and they have the safer barriers and things like that allow these guys to drive 180, 90 miles an hour pretty much carefree. And their cars are so safe. I'm not saying, serious injury or death is not preventable in NASCAR, but they've certainly gone a long, long way to make that a long shot. And I think, football needs to continue to look at things. And even though it doesn't look as cool and as shiny as those helmets look, safety should be first and foremost on their minds, which, brings me to another point, and that is when a runner, a ball carrier, is stood up and is not going anywhere, why do they allow defensive players to continue to pile in? Or for that matter, why do they allow offensive players to pile in and try to push the pile forward? Once the forward motion, momentum and all forward progress is stopped, blow the whistle.
Yeah.
And prevent these guys from running in their full speed and potentially injuring themselves or somebody else. They talk about the safety of the game. That's another thing they could look at. All right, to the phones we go. 888-898-2525 is the number. We have Andy in Columbia with us first. Andy, welcome in. How are you?
Hello, Corn, Chris, Josh. Well, Corn, I think a tube would do you just as well as they do those helmets things. So maybe you should try one of those.
Guardian hair for Phil.
What's your point?
That you need a piece of carpet on top of that bald thing.
I am perfectly comfortable with my appearance. Thank you very much. If you're driving in a convertible, you don't have to worry about anything flying around. That hasn't been a problem for a long time.
Okay, we've seen Shula, offensive coordinator, for 3 games now. Are we seeing what we're going to see?
Well, for their sake, I would hope not.
I mean, is 3 games too small of a?
Yeah, I would say that if I would give it this Vanderbilt game because this is a quality opponent at home. I would say if this
wasn't.
I beg your pardon.
Illinois wasn't a quality opponent.
Yeah, but that was a bowl game. You had a lot of people leave. You didn't have your full roster. He was brand new as far as doing everything. Yeah, you kind of flush that. These first 2 games.
So you say give them one more game, and then if we see what we see, this is what we're going to see.
I would say by now, this would be, you're talking about almost a month and a half into preseason camp and into your season. This will be a quarter of your season coming up. After this game on Saturday, you should have a pretty good idea of what you're all about by this Saturday. But, now, unless you go in and make some major personnel changes because you have to after this Saturday. But I think you'll have a pretty good feel for what this team's going to look like after this Saturday.
And another question. Is Tree like in the doghouse or what? I mean, they played, 12 or 13 offensive linemen this past weekend, and he didn't get a snap?
Well, Beamer was asked that question on the conference call last night, and he just said he's there and he's able to play, and he's.
We know he's there.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, there's. I don't think he's in the so-called doghouse per se that we know of. As he said, there's just other guys right now who are, they feel like, ahead of him, and they'll rotate him in at some point in time. But Shed Surratt got the start at guard on Saturday, and they really like his future. So they seem set with what they've got right now, barring injury. Be right back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says he has to change the chamber's rules because it's clear Democrats will not back off their objections to President Trump's nominee.
This is simply the world's longest, most drawn-out temper tantrum over losing an election. Democrats can't stand the fact that President Trump was elected. And so they've destroyed decades upon decades of Senate precedent and turned a historically bipartisan process into an exercise in petty partisanship.
The changes will allow quick confirmations of dozens of President Trump's executive branch nominees and will move to speed up votes after months of Democratic delays. President Trump has issued an ultimatum to Hamas about the remaining hostages. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
In a Sunday social media post, the president wrote that Israel has agreed to a new arrangement to secure the release of hostages in Gaza. He said the Israelis have accepted his terms, and now it is time for Hamas to accept as well, or face the consequences. The president went a step further, declaring this is his last warning and there will not be another one. Hamas continues to hold 50 hostages, with only 20 believed to be alive. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Palestinian attackers have opened fire at a bus stop in Jerusalem during the morning rush hour, killing 6 people and wounding 12. An Israeli soldier and civilian shot and killed the 2 attackers, and police later arrested a 3rd person. Monday's attack is the deadliest in Israel since October 2024. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 114 points. More at Town Hall.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-419-2387. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-419-2387. 800-419-2387. 800-419-2387.
Markets got close to record levels.
Stocks edged higher on Wall Street Monday. The S&P 500 rose 0.2%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.3%. The Nasdaq Composite rose 0.5% to a record. AppLovin and Robinhood Markets helped lead the market after learning they will join the S&P 500 index later this month. Trading across Wall Street was relatively quiet ahead of updates coming later this week on the job market and inflation. The results could dictate by how much or even whether the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates at its next meeting in a week. Damian Troisi, New York.
Rupert Murdoch's family has reached a deal on control of his media empire after his death. The agreement ensures no change in direction at Fox News, a popular network for President Donald Trump and conservatives. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters. It is going to
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 61. Tomorrow, nice blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high of 80. It's comfortable on Wednesday. 82 is our high. Mostly sunshine-filled skies. And we're warmer the second half of the week with highs in the middle to upper 80s. There's no rain scheduled all week, so leave that umbrella at home. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make the point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
We are back, Sports Talk Media Network on this Monday night, coming to you from the capital city. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen from Sardis City, over at the Berge Palace, and the plumber Josh Cohen here at the studios as well. Phone number 888-898-2525. Feel free to give us a call if you have a comment or question, talking primarily about this past weekend with the football teams in our state, and also a little touch of the NFL with the Panthers off to a, embarrassingly bad start for them on the road. Another road game for them coming up this week. Elsewhere around the state over the weekend, if you haven't kept up, beyond what we've already talked about, we talked about, of course, South Carolina, Clemson, Coastal, Presbyterian beating Furman. Great win for them. Wofford, a tough loss, another close one. They were in this one as well against Richmond, but they came up short. Charleston Southern, of course, lost at Coastal Carolina. Newberry opened the season with a win at Virginia Wise, so big solid win for them. They will host Point University this weekend. Citadel with that nice win at Sanford. They'll play at Gardner-Webb this coming weekend. Erskine lost at Anderson in their season opener. North Greenville lost at Delta State in their season opener. And they will play Barton at home, their home opener against Barton this coming weekend. And Allen lost at home to Livingstone in a close game, so they're off to an 0-2 start. Will host Lane this weekend. Anderson, as we mentioned, beat Erskine, so Anderson is 2-0 and will host Tusculum this weekend. So the Anderson Trojans off to a good start as well under Bobby Lamb. So coming up this coming weekend, we've got South Carolina Vanderbilt at home, Clemson at Georgia Tech, Coastal Carolina hosting East Carolina. That should be a lot of fun. Furman plays at Campbell. Wofford goes to Mercer. It is Erskine going to Presbyterian. Bethune-Cookman at South Carolina State. I tell you, I think South Carolina State's got a heck of a chance to win the MEAC from what we've seen so far. Now, they have a game coming up at USF. All of a sudden, USF has become the Cinderella darling of the country with that win at Florida on Saturday. So they got that to look forward to. Charleston Southern will be home to Lindenwood, as you mentioned, and Newberry will be home to Point. Citadel at Gardner-Webb. Tuskegee. No, I'm sorry. Benedict plays at Central State. Benedict will play at Central State this weekend. Lane at Allen and Lane at Allen and Tusculum at Anderson is the schedule coming up for this week around the state of South Carolina. Of course, as far as the SEC and the ACC are concerned, for this coming week, we start to get into some serious conference business, conference games in both leagues, so that's good. Things are going to start heating up this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And, you had that non-conference conference game between Virginia and NC State, which was a really, really good football game. I listened to a good bit of it driving down to Conway on Saturday and was really surprised that Virginia didn't find a way to win that one. But I tell you, NC State may be another team to keep an eye on. C.J. Bailey's not bad at quarterback.
No, I went with Virginia in that one.
I did as well.
And that game went back and forth. It could have gone either way, but at home, State figured out a way to win it. So in the ACC this week, you've got NC State at Wake Forest on Thursday, Colgate at Syracuse on Friday. Then on Saturday, Clemson, Georgia Tech, William and Mary at Virginia, Pitt at West Virginia. How about West Virginia losing to Ohio over the weekend? That shocked me. Richmond at North Carolina, so they should go to 2-1 after winning at Charlotte Saturday. SMU at Missouri State. This should be a good one, maybe. If South Florida's for real, this will be a good game. South Florida at Miami. The Miami, they look pretty good in their first two games. They beat Bethune-Cookman like they should have. Old Dominion at Virginia Tech. Duke at Tulane. Minnesota at Cal. And Boston College at Stanford. Florida State and Louisville are off this weekend. So you got kind of a mix in the ACC. Some league games and some games outside the league. And I always find it still having a hard time accepting Stanford and Cal as ACC teams. When I see
I was thinking the same thing.
Games,
I see Cal hosting Minnesota, and at first I was thinking, why is this even on there? It's not an A, and then I was like, oh, yeah, it's an ACC game. And that Virginia Tech Old Dominion game, that's a huge deal for ODU, obviously, to get a chance to play Virginia Tech. They played the last several years, and ODU gives them fits. And if Brent Pry loses that one, I don't know how much longer he keeps his job at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, they're already kind of getting on him a little bit because they've been very average under him to this point. Around the SEC coming up this week, we got Wisconsin and Alabama. That should be a dandy. South Alabama at Auburn, Eastern Michigan at Kentucky. Then you got Florida at LSU. Okay, let's see what you got, both of you. Arkansas at Ole Miss. Ole Miss went to Kentucky. It was a battle, but Ole Miss ended up winning that one. Alcorn State at Mississippi State. All of a sudden, Mississippi State's got a pulse. Lafayette at Missouri. So a warm-up game for Missouri before they host the Gamecocks. Oklahoma at Temple. So now Oklahoma's feeling it after beating Michigan over the weekend. Georgia at Tennessee should be a dandy. UTEP at Texas should not. And Texas A&M at Notre Dame to wrap it up this coming weekend for the SEC. So we got some good matchups. Got some good SEC matchups. You got some good, at least one good interconference matchup, Wisconsin at Alabama, Big 12 versus the SEC there. And a lot of people are going to be interested in this Georgia-Tennessee game, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, and Florida, LSU. I mean, what if Florida goes down to LSU and gets embarrassed? I say that with all due respect to the plumber who, is having to deal with the heartache of a Florida and Lions loss the same weekend. But seriously, for Billy Napier, if he loses and loses big to LSU, he might not make it through the season.
That's interesting because, LSU could embarrass them, and it's not a knock on Florida. LSU may be that good. I listen to people all weekend. That's all they talk about is how good LSU is. Mm-hmm. And Brian Kelly's kind of figured it out. And I don't want to be this guy, but I will be for just a moment for the SEC. When you said that Missouri was hosting Lafayette, I thought you meant the school in the Northeast.
No.
And I looked and saw that the SEC references Louisiana Lafayette. They don't go by Lafayette anymore. They dropped that years ago. It's the University of Louisiana. But anyway, like I said, I didn't mean to be that guy, but I'll stick up for the Sun Belt for a moment.
Well, there you go.
Against Missouri.
That's what you do. You're holding your ground. I tell you what, if Troy plays the Sun Belt opponents like they played Clemson, they're going to be trouble.
They are, absolutely are.
They're going to be trouble for people. Phone number 888-898-2525. Our text line number is 803-900-4847. Some more text messages. This from the 803. I listened to Clemson fans during July and August just knowing that their Tigers were championship bound and Klubnik had already won the Heisman. Now they are so silent, blissfully silent. Well, they don't have much to brag on right now. I think Clemson fans are just kind of wondering, are we at some sort of a crossroads here? Knowing that so much was being put into this season because it's an older team. Mm-hmm. They went to the portal to fill up a couple of holes, and this was sort of a not going to say make or break, but this was sort of like their next great opportunity to win a championship. And they've just not looked good completely as a team. They've just not looked good in their first two games, the way you expect them to look. Klubnik in the first half still looked unsettled back there. And we're going to have Zach Willis coming up shortly, and he'll be able to expound on that. But he still looked nervous-y and made bad decisions, had some drops. That didn't help him. Had a couple of balls batted down at the line. One was intercepted, returned for a touchdown. Even once again, there were poor decisions being made on some routes that were being run where he made the wrong read, that Dabo Swinney pointed out. But he still loves him. I mean, Dabo Swinney is 150% behind him. So right now it's just not the kind of crisp Clemson team on offense that you used to see there, especially during their championship run. So they've got to pick it up this weekend against Georgia Tech, or it could be a long day for them.
And to our texter's point, Phil, this is where preseason hype can not only hurt your team, but it hurts your fan base. Because we all heard what Clemson was putting out and what everybody was saying about Clemson, so it's understandable that Clemson fans would think, and I get why they felt this way. I mean, we talked about them all throughout the summer in preseason camp. I mean, this is an older team. They should be pretty good up front. They had to work through, Walker Park's injury and some other things, but they should be good up front. They should be good in the secondary. Their front seven should be outstanding defensively. Cade Klubnik, yeah. I mean, everybody up at Clemson was already positioning him for a Heisman Trophy run. That may be the only thing, though, to our texter's question. That may be the only thing that's out the window, is him winning the Heisman Trophy. I think that's probably done, because you got to get off to a better start, unless he just blows it up the next 10 games, which is entirely possible. But they're still not out of the race to get into the playoffs. I mean, they figure it out, and they've obviously, the team that played Troy and the team that played LSU in the second half is not winning the ACC. But they've got the talent there, and if they put it together, this is still a team I think can make the playoffs.
Well, certainly, because, again, we've all taken the ACC for granted, when it comes to Clemson.
Sure.
But now look, I mean, Georgia Tech we'll see how real they are, but they certainly look like they could be a real problem. Florida State definitely looks like a real problem. They beat their opponent on Saturday the way you're supposed to beat that opponent. I mean, just thoroughly trash them, embarrass them, the whole deal. If they have to play, let's say they're fortunate enough to make it to the championship game, well, they still have to play SMU. SMU is going to be a tough out.
Or Miami.
Well, I was going to say they play SMU in the regular season.
I got you.
But I'm saying if they get to the championship game and they play Miami, we'll see how good Miami is. Well, we'll have a pretty good idea coming up. But that could be another real test for them at the end of the season.
Absolutely, and I think you're right. Going into the season, we kind of glossed over the Atlantic Coast Conference as we normally do, and it's understandable because that league has developed that reputation. But it's a whole lot better than it is the past couple of years this season, and that. Coach, it's Brent Key, right, over at Georgia Tech, and Brent Pry at Virginia Tech. And they have had this game circled on their calendar all off season. This was the one, I'm sure he's told his team, if you want to be a legitimate player, you're going to have to beat Clemson. We've got them coming to our place. We need to win this game. And they have been focused solely. And my guess is Haynes King is going to be just fine and will play that game at quarterback for them. And you're right. They're going to give Clemson everything they could possibly handle.
Right now, Georgia Tech is ninth in the country in rushing offense, 271 yards per game. I know these numbers are inflated because of this past weekend, but that's what happens. They're 24th in scoring offense at 43. They are giving up 16 a game. So they've got some really good numbers. And it's in Atlanta, which, I mean, Clemson's had their way with Georgia Tech here of late, but Georgia Tech hasn't had really good teams in a long, long time. And this is probably the best team from Georgia Tech that Clemson will have faced since going back to when Paul Johnson was there, I guess. It's probably the last time Georgia Tech looks to be as good as they are right now was back when he was there running that triple option and giving everybody fits. So looking forward to that one. Good test, and a good test for South Carolina against Vanderbilt as well. This will be we'll call this good test weekend for the two of them and see what they're all about. If they win these games and they win them by playing well, okay, maybe things start to look a little bit brighter. But if they lose, and you'll take a win even if you play poorly, let's say you manage to win. I don't think you can play poorly and beat these teams unless they happen to play lousy. So if you're South Carolina and Clemson, you need to go out and play your best and not have a bunch of 3-and-outs and not turn it over and not give up big plays. Don't let them throw the ball over the top. I still think South Carolina's secondary, they had a little bit of trouble with South Carolina State throwing some deep balls on them Saturday. They're still having some trouble. They got some injuries issues back there as well. So that's another concern for South Carolina going into this game with a quarterback as good as Pavia. Okay, we'll hit the break. We got recruiting coming up on the other side. Zach Willis after that. Be back in a moment.
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love, and you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Life insurance isn't for you. It's for those you love the most. For a complete insurance review, call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, serving Lawrence, Clinton, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi. Not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
Maybe your credit's seen better days, or maybe it's just never been quite where you want it to be. At Founders Federal Credit Union, we get it. Life happens. Things don't always go according to plan. But that doesn't mean your goals are out of reach. Whether it's a car to get to work or a little extra breathing room in your budget, we offer personal and auto loans to help you move forward. With flexible terms and a team that treats you like a person, not a number. We take the time to understand because you don't need a perfect credit score to start your next chapter. Visit a local Founders office or foundersfcu.com to learn more. Founders, helping you do life on your terms, helping you build a brighter financial future. All it takes is one visit to foundersfcu.com to get you started. Relax. You've got this with Founders. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Straight Up Sports is simply all sports, all the time. Straight Up Sports is a collection of retired and award-winning sports writers and sports broadcasters from around South Carolina. Like Bob Gillespie from the State Newspaper, Scott Kiefer from the Greenville News, and Mark Sturgis from ESPN Upstate. Straight Up Sports is about the stories, just like the days gone by with no editors nor managers involved. Check us out on Facebook or Twitter or online at straightupsports.net.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, it's time for the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. Another glorious week in South Carolina means another glorious 4 days of the Seawells Daily Luncheon Buffet. Tuesday through Friday at Seawells on Rosewood Drive. Across from the State Fairgrounds. Awesome, awesome food, great setting, relaxing, inexpensive, very friendly people. You can't beat it.
I'm sold.
I mean, it's simply the best. What you got? You got a menu yet, Plumber?
No menu. But
Okay.
I'll tell you when I go tomorrow. I'm going tomorrow.
Oh, good.
And I'll let you know how it is.
Well, don't go to the Beamer press conference first, because if you go eat, you're going to fall asleep during the Beamer press conference. So I need you alert. I need you on your toes.
You go to the Beamer press conference first and then eat afterwards.
So I'm just saying that.
You just said
go to the Beamer press conference first.
You said don't go to the breast.
No, I said don't go eat first.
We'll have to
Pay
pull
attention.
we'll have to pull back the tapes because that's not what you said.
No, that is what I said. What did I say, Bergie?
I think that's what he said, Josh.
Yeah. You lose again.
I'll pull back the tapes. I'm the only one in the room with that.
Three losses. 3 losses right there. No, just take the L and
No,
go home.
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the win and go get myself something to eat at Seawell's tomorrow.
Okay.
So, and neither one of you get to do that.
This is true. And for the very best in the catering business, that, of course, would be the good folks at Seawell's who've been doing this about 80 years. So they know what they're doing. They know how to do it right at your location or theirs. 803-771-7385 online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So a good start for the week for South Carolina. They get a commitment from tight end Caden Ramsey of Cross. He picked the Gamecocks over Virginia Tech. Georgia Tech and Syracuse were also in the mix in the final weeks. Picked up his offer from the Gamecocks in June after Coach Sean Elliott put him through an extensive workout during a camp session, and they liked him from there. They liked him from that point moving forward, continued to recruit him, and he came in for the game on Saturday against South Carolina State, coming back for his official visit to South Carolina this coming weekend. You kind of like this pickup. I mean, he's got really good size, 6'5", 200 pounds, good overall athlete, also plays basketball, can play safety in high school, had 14 interceptions according to his coach last season in high school. That's pretty awesome.
Good grief.
He's the 16th commitment for the Gamecocks class and the 7th from South Carolina. So Shane Beamer continues to work the state of South Carolina from a talent standpoint, going after the best players he can get. One of those he's looking at in the 27 class is Irmo defensive end Jaden Bryant, 6'4", 255. He went up to Clemson for the LSU game. He was at USC for the game over the weekend. As far as Clemson is concerned, that was his second visit, and he's continuing to develop his relationship with the Tigers coaches, including defensive ends coach Chris Rumpf. Clemson has not yet offered him, but he is under consideration for an offer from the Tigers. Said he liked it up there a good bit and enjoys going up there for visits. So he said it felt like it feels like the more he goes there, he feels like it's the percentage of him getting offered will increase. So that situation continues to develop for him. He also was in South Carolina, as I mentioned, for the state game. He's returning for the Vanderbilt game. He also plans to be at USC for the Alabama and Clemson games. He's also going to go to Miami at Florida, South Carolina at LSU, Tennessee at Alabama, and Florida at Kentucky. I'd say South Carolina's in a position of strength with him right now, but he said LSU has been showing him a lot of interest here lately. He's been on the phone a lot with them, and so he's liking what he's hearing from LSU at this point. He said, I wouldn't say more than South Carolina, but it's up there as far as LSU's interest is concerned from his standpoint, so something to keep an eye on. Speaking of LSU, they're trying to move in on South Carolina commitment quarterback Landon Duckworth of Jackson, Alabama. He was offered by LSU over the weekend. He was at Baton Rouge on Saturday. Of course, he committed to the Gamecocks for a second time in mid-July with Auburn, the runner-up at that time. He is expected to be at South Carolina Saturday for the Vanderbilt game, so the Gamecocks will have a chance to kind of what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word when somebody comes back from, like, say, what do they do with astronauts when they come back from space and they bring them home? They what's the word I'm looking for?
They isolate them.
Well, that's not it. No, a chance for
I want to do that too.
Say what?
Decontaminate him?
No. So, trying to make sure they get his mind back in the right direction. There's a word for that.
Isolation.
That's not it. That's 4 losses for you. They keep piling up. Dorman defensive end Christian Waring committed to Appalachian State over the weekend. Dutch Fork defensive end Julian Walker, who's a Michigan commitment, was at USC Saturday night for the state game. South Carolina commitment safety Tristan Lewis of Greenwood. On Friday night, he broke the school's passing record with 420 yards and 5 touchdowns in a win over Dorman. They like him as a safety. You might want to look at him as a quarterback.
There's no doubt.
Clemson target, 27 linebacker Caden Henderson of Tampa is going to go to LSU Saturday. 2027 Dutch Fork defensive end Jaden Worth was offered by Miami and Penn State over the weekend. And Florida State and Stanford on Saturday offered 2027 wide receiver Jaden Kelly Murray of Somerville. And by the way, no quarterback controversy at Somerville. David Shelton settled that on Friday night. Everything's good, everything's cool with the Green Wave and their quarterbacks. Okay, 1st and 10 with Zach Willis coming up after the break.
On Point weather on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Mostly clear this evening with a low temperature dipping down to 61. Tomorrow, nice blend of sunshine and clouds to go with a high of 80. It's comfortable on Wednesday. 82 is our high. Mostly sunshine-filled skies. And we're warmer the second half of the week with highs in the middle to upper 80s. There's no rain scheduled all week, so leave that umbrella at home. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
We're taking the afternoon drive back on the road to Lexington. Thursday the 11th from 4 to 6 p.m. We'll be live from the Village at South Lake. It's an absolutely beautiful independent living community rated the best in Lexington. It's a great day for you to stop by and see us. We'll have refreshments for you, swag to give away. If you're thinking about independent living, this is the time to come visit. 4 to 6 Thursday the 11th at the Village at South Lake, 123 Gibson Road in Lexington. Hope to see you there.
Hey. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The man charged with trying to assassinate Donald Trump while he played golf last year in South Florida stood before a group of potential jurors in a Florida courtroom and said he was sorry for bringing you all in here. Ryan Ruth is representing himself in the trial that began Monday in the federal courthouse in Fort Pierce, Florida. The Supreme Court is clearing the way for federal agents to conduct sweeping immigration operations in Los Angeles, another victory for President Trump at the High Court. The justices Monday lifted a restraining order from a judge who found patrols were conducting indiscriminate arrests in L.A. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 114 points. The Nasdaq rose 98. The S&P 500 advanced 13. This is SRN News.
Hi, I'm Tazima. Join me every Saturday at 11 a.m. for Small Business Saturday. We'll celebrate business owners in our community while learning their stories of success and failure. It's Small Business Saturday right here at 100.7 The Point.
I bet you've heard us say this, you can't pick your power company. So how can you control your power bill? By partnering with Ken and his local team at Broker Solar. Ken, our power is not getting any cheaper.
So every year there's typically a rate increase that happens and the utilities claim that they want to keep up with their operating costs. Now, Broker Solar allows you to take control of that cost, own your power, create it, store it, and then use it when you need it. There's special solar financing that would take advantage of the tax credits. You can have several options on how long you'd like to pay off your solar system and how quick the return could be.
No two homes are the same, so you work with homeowners, business owners to fit their needs based on how many solar panels they need and even where they want the panels to go. Most folks prefer it on the roof, but some don't.
We frequently get asked about solar on the ground or even on a separate solar structure like a carport or a lean-to that comes off the house.
Call Broker Solar. Call them now, 803-807-7417 or online, brokersolar.com.
Get ready, anglers and hunters. September 19th through the 21st, join us for the last cast tent sale at Palmetto State Armory. Land up to 75% off from top brands like Berkeley, Abu Garcia, and Plano. From rods and reels, gun cases to backpacks, we've got everything you need to take on your next adventure. Join us all weekend long for hot deals, pro fishing tips, food trucks, and more. See you September 19th through the 21st at Palmetto State Armory, 3760 Fernandina Road, Columbia.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meeting Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
Now, First and 10 with Zach Willis on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Thank you very much, the lovely Mrs. Willis, with the introduction. Let's welcome in the not-so-lovely coach. I'm talking appearance-wise. No, he's fine. Coach Zach Willis, First and 10, with us here on Sports Talk. Welcome in, sir. How are you tonight?
Doing great. Feel ugly as always, brother. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. As always, we appreciate you being with us. We've been sort of hammering South Carolina and Clemson, and Coastal Carolina for that matter, for their lackluster play. By the way, I was trying to come up with a word before we hit the break. Debrief was the word I was trying to think of for those of you who were paying attention. Does that make sense, Bergie? Debrief.
Yes, debrief, and that's exactly what they need to do with Landon Duckworth. But I did like your idea about if you're the Gamecocks, maybe putting him in bubble wrap and hiding him away.
Yes, or just locking him down, not letting him go back home, How many times would you like to have done that in recruiting, trying to make sure you don't lose a guy? But anyway, yeah, we've been, they were lackluster against two teams that they should have rolled. And so here we are as they get ready for what's now some really big conference games for the two of them. Let's start with Clemson, since they were the earlier starter, but they both ended Clemson ended a little bit ahead of South Carolina, but
yeah, it was rough.
They I don't know what's your take on how they played the first half and then the second half?
I think lackluster is a great way to put it. I never. It just seems to me like a pattern with them when they play at home, no matter who they play, whether it's a conference game. Now, LSU, they came out, at least defensively and special teams-wise, I thought and played well in the first half. And offensively, I don't think they've really fully shown up yet offensively based on what we thought they would be able to do. But just kind of came out flat. Then they had that delay. I played in games, coaching games. We played through that stuff, from what I remember. But it seems like they have this kind of funk when they play at home. Even if it's against bigger teams, they don't. Their teams. Remember one year, Trevor Lawrence getting knocked out and the backup quarterback having to come in and throw a miracle ball on fourth down for them to beat Wake Forest. And nothing against Wake Forest, but they make those games harder than they have to be sometimes, I think. And I really honestly can't tell you why, because I'm not in their preparation. And I'm sure based on Dabo's comments and the things I've heard him say, and, personally and publicly, he's not happy with it. But something's going on, and they need to figure out what it is. This has been going on down there a long time.
So what did you see with Klubnik and with the Clemson offense in that first half? I mean, why were they having such a difficult time? And their defense doesn't get a pass for the first half, because I thought that Troy came out with an excellent game plan. They caught Clemson totally naked on the opening possession, and even Dabo admitted afterwards that it was a personnel grouping that they hadn't seen and weren't really prepared for. And so they went right down the field and scored, and then they moved the ball well on them and
ran it.
They were able to run the ball. That running back was able – this is the first half. Now, Clemson, figured it out and tightened it up in the second half and made it tough. But what did you see there in that first half?
I think, number one, now, one thing we need to remember is Troy is a Division I program. They're not on Clemson's level, but at the same time, they're supposedly tougher than South Carolina State. I will say that I want to give Troy a little bit of credit for having a solid football program there for years and moving their way up. But having said that, we always had what we call automatics everywhere I was on defense. You got a personnel grouping that you didn't know or whatever. Number one, call timeout if you don't understand what you got going on. Number two, you should have what we used to call it steady. And you remember now, I don't know if young people do this today, but we had a steady girlfriend and we had a steady defense. You had the old steady that, you were going to take her to the prom, that sort of thing. That's back when kids were a little bit more innocent than they are today.
Mm-hmm.
But, out of high school, Phil had that one girl that they'd go out on a date maybe as friends, but we just say steady, steady. And we were probably in some base coverage of some sort, but we made sure we eliminated the chance of a big play if at all possible. And that's what we went to. And I give old Coach Todd Knight the credit for the name at Newberry, still head coach there. But we came up with some really creative things we did. But at the same time, you don't need to be creative when you're getting a formation from a team with less talent than you. You need to stay in base defense until you can figure it out and keep the damage to a minimum. That would be my thoughts on it.
So, second half, things started to turn for Clemson late in the first half. They had a field goal. They thought they had a touchdown, but the receiver had his knee down, so they wiped out a touchdown. They kicked the field goal, and then they really came out, I think, with a focus in the second half to run the football. What'd you think of Adam Randall? That's the most running back he's ever played, and he rushed for 112 yards. Did he look more like a natural running back to you in that second half?
Yes, I thought so. I think they made a good decision there. I don't know how they got down to having to use Adam at that position, but I will say I think it's a good transition. He looks to me, he's a big back. He runs well. He's got really good vision. He's able to one-step cut, which means he doesn't kind of hop over to the side and change direction. He can jump cut a little bit. So I think it's a good move there. And I was impressed with what I saw out of him. We should have seen more of that in the LSU game because I think he could have made a difference. He made a huge difference on fourth down on the goal line when he ran over a couple of people. So we know he's tough. He's not afraid of contact. He'll initiate contact and run through contact. So I see a plus there, huge plus as the season goes on. Just got to keep him healthy.
This is true because they really have not used anybody else with any regularity behind him. I mean, you don't see a whole lot of we saw a little bit of the freshman Davidson. We've seen a little bit of Easy E, as they call him. Not that much of Adams. I mean, really, it's been all Randall or nothing at running back for the most part.
We've talked about this before, but there's a lack of development at that position, Phil. We've discussed it for several years now. Pass protection, still struggling there. That's been kind of a chronic thing. And now, in that offense, they put themselves into some positions that you really don't want to, but you have to when you're going, four wides, no tight end in the ball game, or a tight end and you're releasing them. You're going to have some running backs have to be able to block, and that's a struggle for most backs coming into the college game. But I don't know why they don't have more depth there. Maybe they do, and maybe they're not healthy. I don't know, but it just seems to keep cropping up.
All right, let's go to the Gamecocks, where South Carolina State gave them a battle there for a better part of a half. Final score looks good for South Carolina, but offensively is the greatest concern. When you take away the 21 points produced by by Swain, you take away those. You take away those two returns, and now you can't do that. I'm not one of those who says you take something away because it happened. You can't take it away; it's all part of it. But just in terms of the offense, looked like struggled once again. Not a lot of consistency there. Up and down play by the quarterback. Not a lot of good numbers across the board there on offense. So what are you seeing with what's happening? I guess it's starting up front on the offensive line.
I think you're right, and I'm shocked at that. I do want to, before we get started, tip my hat to South Carolina State's coaching staff. I thought fantastic job there, having these kids composed and ready when they were really outmatched. they came in and really punched South Carolina in the mouth and continued to play hard the whole game. They were outclassed, but really, really good job by that staff. I think South Carolina is just out of sync on offense. I don't understand the miss. It looked like their O-line again, once again, and this goes back to recruiting, but they're playing with pads way too high, and they're getting pushed back into the quarterback, which restricts his ability to be mobile. We've seen that in the last 2 games. He's tripped over people. People have slid off when he's attempted to run out of the pocket, especially if he steps up. They're just playing high. And part of that, like I said, hip flexibility. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds and talk too dirty this early in football season. We got to ease into it, but it's the same thing for both of these teams every year. And I felt like last year South Carolina's O-line came along as the year went on, and Sean Elliott, I know personally, is an excellent O-line coach. There were some mental issues there that I was shocked by, a little bit disappointed. But now, again, they did wake up, and their special teams. Swain is an elite level punt returner, but the walls they were setting up were really well executed. That's highlight reel stuff in the coaching clinic that they put on. So you want to take your hat off to them for turning the game once again. But they got to get a whole lot better to win the SEC. They're capable. I just don't know if they got the talent at running back. I don't know if Attaway's really the answer. They lost a great back, and to be blunt about it, I'm really in a wait-and-see mode when it comes to do they have the talent to get a guy that can get sideways in the hole and then square back up and break it like Rocket could. He was a very good back, very deceptive, but very effective.
Yeah, scored a touchdown yesterday in his NFL debut, so they lost a good one there. Offensive line, like you mentioned, still looks like a mishmash to some degree in terms of their performance. What about Lenore Sellers? He had the beautiful pass for 64 yards against Virginia Tech. He had some really good passes on that opening drive against Virginia Tech. Kind of an up-and-down game against South Carolina State in a game where he should have been well protected, should have had a really nice pocket, a clean pocket to stand in and pick guys apart, and it just wasn't there for him.
I don't think we can't really, Lenoris is a generational type talent. He hasn't developed totally yet, but I don't think it's him. I think it's a lack of clean pocket. He's just not having, and when we talk about a clean pocket, what I mean is nobody's up in his face. He's got people in his face, people grabbing a hold to him. He's having to, get out of there and make plays with his feet and his arm. And one thing about him that really is rare, as big and fast as he always keeps his eyes down the field looking for the late throw, even though he's scrambling for his life. And he's very effective at that. But against South Carolina State, one would think you'd be able to get the protection you need, and you really worry about how soft they are really up the middle. That's what I see. And again, there's a huge level of improvement, and both of these teams have proven through coaching that they get better as the season gets along. But they're going to have to get a lot better. They got to put a whole game together. Neither one of them's done that yet.
So are you expecting both Clemson in Atlanta and South Carolina at home this weekend? You think they're going to have that game, have that really solid all-around performance? I mean, I'm not asking you to predict the future, but would you sense that they are bound to have that kind of performance as they go into game number 3?
I wouldn't bet on it. I mean, what I'm seeing, and I don't think this is the Clemson's offense really concerns me because I feel like they were so vanilla, and maybe they're trying to hold things back. I don't think they held back against LSU. But Georgia Tech, well coached, very, very tough, and they're going to be waiting on Clemson. South Carolina, same kind of deal. It's up front with them, with Clemson's overall scheme. They've got to get some short stuff going, and Klubnik needs to be comfortable in the pocket. His feet are all over the place, and I just think for a senior quarterback, he looks very indecisive right now, much like he has most of his career. And I just don't understand that. I'm not saying there's not a reason, but I don't know what it is. And I'm not a betting man, never have been. but they really need to show up and show up big, and I hope they do, both of them. But as I've gotten older, I take more of a wait and see approach. Honestly, I don't even know if I was older when I started doing that. But,
No.
you know, you feel these kids out here today, you don't know what you're going to get. And with the coaching carousel like it is, you know, the head coaches are stable there. But we got a new coordinator in Columbia and a very unproven one down in Clemson, who could not get it done against South Carolina last year when it counted, couldn't get it done against Texas. And let's just face it, for the money they're making, that's what you pay for. And Clemson has been there 4 times in the last 3 years, played for all of it and won 2 of them. I just think there's got to be improvement all around, and it starts with those guys that are calling the plays. You know, I heard a guy say the other night, play calling's an art form. That's a fact. That is a fact, and you got to be flexible and make sure that you stay balanced.
Well, the pressure will be on both. You're right. I mean, Shula, it's young in his time. He's only called plays for 3 games at South Carolina. In all 3 games, it's been lackluster offensively. And of course, Riley now in his 3rd year, and he was hired to bring in this potent, wide open, explosive offense that, for the most part, hasn't been there for Clemson.
No.
It's been like pulling teeth for them a lot of the times against the better teams. So this will be a great test for everybody involved on both sides of the ball for both of these teams coming up this weekend. I mean, here comes Vanderbilt. You don't take Vanderbilt for granted anymore.
No.
Very impressive the way they rallied to win at a tough place to do that in Blacksburg over the weekend.
That was as impressive a win as there was this past weekend, in my opinion. You know, you go watch, you know, seeing Center Sandman, the whole 9 yards of Virginia Tech, and then you see, and Clark Lee is a great coach. I was able to go watch Vanderbilt and Carolina play last year. Rocket Sanders was a huge difference in that game. And the O&D lines, they whipped Vanderbilt up front. They've got to do that again. That's where the difference is. But they don't have Rocket, and they've lost. Defensively, I think they're playing hard. I'm not worried about South Carolina defense. Clemson, I'm a little bit worried about everything, to be honest. And they've got a tough assignment. Now, I do know they've got a head coach that's with a proven record. When his back's against the wall, that cat comes out and fights. But the kids have to buy into him and do what they're asked to do. And the coaches have to do what he came out and said the other week, hey, we didn't run the ball enough. You know that's getting relayed. That's not something Dabo's going to be quiet about. And it's got to be, they got to obey him. They got to listen to him. He knows how to win. The rest of them have to follow that. And it includes the staff, too, on both ends. But if anybody I feel good about, I feel better about South Carolina. And I've not said that in many years.
Mm-hmm. You like their chances then against Vandy this weekend?
Absolutely. I mean, I do. Lenore Sellers is a winner. Shane Beamer's a winner. He finds ways to win games just like his dad. Not many coaches' kids end up being successful, to be quite honest about it.
Yep.
They're just not. This guy is proving that he is. And I was a big-time wait-and-seer on him. But he took whatever they gave him to pay him, and he's busted his butt to build this program. And I think if anybody's going to bow up and fight, it's going to be.
All right, Zach, thanks very much. Appreciate it. We'll be back after this break.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Hi, I'm Lisa Hosseller Brown. Did you know Lawyer Lisa offers a prevention plan add-on to our services? If you already have a trust or just need some updates, ask about getting your ducks in a row and getting all of your wishes set out before it's needed. Visit lawyerlisa.com for more information.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
All right, thanks to Coach Zach Willis, 1st and 10, with us here on Sports Talk tonight, Bergie. So he's still buying stock in the two teams. Kind of feels like they got a good chance this weekend to set things straight and maybe get on a roll here moving into the heart of the season.
But I thought it was interesting because you asked him, and Andy brought this question up a little bit earlier. I mean, at what point in time do we look at both of them, and maybe it is after this weekend, if people tell you, always heard this, if people try constantly to tell you who they are, believe them. If the Gamecocks and Tigers struggle again this weekend on offense, maybe this is who they are. Maybe they're not going to be very good on offense all season. I'd be stunned if that's the case, because I look at those two teams and I look at those two quarterbacks and just can't believe they can't put up 28, 31, 35 points a game. But, boy, they're a long way from being a well-oiled machine on offense, both of them right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's with the kind of talent they have and the quarterbacks they have and the receivers they have. I mean, in Clemson's case, now Wesco had a big game Saturday, but you're not hearing much from Smith at this point. And I think Brown contributed some. They do miss Antonio Williams. He's been out the better part of all of this past game and most of the LSU game. They need him to come back healthy. He means a lot. Not getting much in terms of production from their tight ends. I thought that was going to be a big drop-off for them from this past season. Losing guys in the NFL now. Their tight end from last year. Come on.
Oh, Brennan Stool.
Yeah, him. Brennan Stool. Losing him, I mean, that's a big loss at tight end for them. So they're not getting all that much out of the tight end position in terms of receptions. And so, I mean, they
I mean, is Shefflin an answer?
No.
That's what, you laugh, but no. I mean.
If he is, and they've really done a poor job recruiting at tight end. No, they got Betancourt, who's a good young player. They've got Pat Henry Olsen. Olsen, Pat, what is it? Olsen, Pat Henry Olsen. I mean, they've got some veteran guys in there who can do the job. They just, from a tight end standpoint, they're not getting the production there that they're used to having. Olsen, Pat Henry, and a little bit of Josh Sapp. And you got Betancourt. Those are the primary three. But their offensive line, they were without Tristan Lee this past Saturday. They're hoping he'll be ready to go against Georgia Tech. They moved Colin Sadler out to left tackle. They had Thurman starting at Thurman started at left guard, I think, and Sewell started at right guard. And Parks did come in and play. He got about 9 snaps at right guard. And then Blake Miller, of course, was the guy. You never hear a word about Blake Miller. That's a good sign for an offensive lineman. You don't hear any complaints about Blake Miller. He just does his job. But now Pennington's not playing any. Of course, Easton Ware is out for the season. You're not seeing just trying to look here. You're not seeing anything from Watson Young right now. Not seeing anything from Blanchard. So you're seeing a little bit from Braden Jacobs. See, but this tells you Braden Jacobs, who's probably going to be a really good player for him, time will tell. his first two snaps of that game against Troy, on snap number 1, he was called for a hold. On snap number 2, his man blew by him and got a sack. And those are his first 2 snaps. So he's got some work to do, and that was against Troy. Imagine now when you start stepping up against some of the competition they're going to be facing. So there's definitely some concern about the play of both offensive lines, I would say, to this point in the season.
Agreed.
All right, tomorrow is a Talking Tuesday, so we'll hear from Beamer, we'll hear from Sweeney, what they have to say at their respective press conferences. Thank you, Bergie.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Plummer. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.